Endemic corruption has earned its place in Uganda as it permeates every pocket of society, including sacred places like temples of justice and the church, as well-placed civil servants chase the gravity train. Could President Museveni's recent cabinet reshuffle have been anchored on his desire to stamp out graft in government? Barely a week after taking part in the anti-graft walk, Museveni announced a cabinet reshuffle, terming it as a minor surgery on an ailment that has afflicted the nerve center of the regime. Perhaps seeking to answer the Deputy Speaker's rebuke of the anti-corruption walk as a charade, the president perhaps wanted to show he was keen to take action against the corrupt.
Let's stop being corrupt. We all are guilty as charged. Let anybody challenge me, Mr. President. Unless we take this from our own front lines and extend the frontier to cover other areas, it's a waste of time. It's a public show for nothing. I come because it's a public show, but deep down I know we are going right back to practice the same damn corruption that we claim to fight.
It should be made really expensive, politically, technically, socially expensive to be corrupt in this country. Political leaders in this country who are stealing public resources are the ones that are most honored in our society around, including those who are law enforcers. They salute for them. I was entering Hotel Africana, and one of the heavyweights in terms of corruption that had been accused for stealing money for pensioners was entering through the security checkpoint, and a guard at Hotel Africana said, "Oh, Your Excellency, you're welcome."
Sources reveal that barely before he announced the reshuffle, the president had made impassioned pleas to his ministers to stop corrupt tendencies.
I monitor your groups. People tell me, the ones who bribe your people, they come and tell me. Only that I don't have enough evidence to arrest you, but I know many of you who are corrupt. So if you see that I have not arrested you, don't think that you are safe. I'm just waiting for enough evidence.
At one of the cabinet meetings, the president reportedly said that he would not tolerate corruption after some ministers tried to duplicate a supplementary budget vote for the construction of roads in flood-hit areas. The president wanted Kahinda Otafire, recently transferred from the Justice Ministry to the ESC Affairs docket, to explain how he acquired land belonging to Njeru Stock Farm. But some view the reshuffle as a game of musical chairs to reward loyalty ahead of the 2021 election more than an effort to stamp out graft. Nixon Ogwal, the Action Aid Uganda Director of Programs, says if the reshuffle was meant to purge the corrupt, then it was a slap on the wrist. Ogwal says that many of those adversely mentioned in graft deals remain in cabinet.
All those who are linked to those decorated generals are grabbing away government land and land of citizens of Uganda. Because they are powerful, the small people cannot talk much. Where are the government ranches now? Those ranches of the 60s and the 70s, even Amin didn't take them away. The Obotes didn't take them away, and yet we went to the bush to come and shoot out corruption out of this country. Now the generals are owning these ranches. The media has reported, the citizens have reported, but President Museveni still wants evidence that people like General Otafire are owning ranches.
Speaker, this stock farm was shared using offices, and Otafire has abused office, and I believe Parliament on Otafire's case, we should take quick. You can inform me. Madam Speaker, I've refused. You can't inform me now. I've refused. Okay, inform me. Madam Speaker, the documents available show the land does not belong to government, it belongs to mine owners, private mine. Mode of payment is willing buyer, willing pay, willing knocker. The seller is not complaining. Me, the buyer, am not complaining. I've got my property. I am saying that government was wrongly superimposed on my land, and I want the government to equate those pieces of land which I purchased. Understand? It's willing seller, willing buyer. And Mr. Rukwadi is not complaining. I'm not complaining. What's your procedure?
Amongst those replaced were the Energy Minister Irene Muloni and Roads Minister Ntege Azuba, two important dockets that hold between them a whopping budget of 7.1 trillion shillings. Prior to the reshuffle, the Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca KADAGA, had claimed that over 24 billion shillings meant for the construction of Isimba Dam Bridge was swindled by officials from the Energy Ministry.
That matter for several months. The money was eaten in the Ministry of Energy, 24 billion.
A statement from a Speaker of the Parliament of Uganda to say money is stolen for a project that is supposed to connect ease transport and so on of this country is such a serious matter. To someone, Honorable Irene Muloni, and all the concerned people, and delve into the issue, this very matter. Because really, how can we? The other day, money for, after Mukono here, Katos Road, the money disappeared. And some guys allegedly who shared the money are in this house. So how can we have a country like that? The Speaker to say, the Third, President, Vice, the Speaker, that money was eaten and we keep quiet.
We also have the Parliament. We also would want to see Right Honorable Rebecca KADAGA bite using the parliamentary processes. We see very good investigation by Parliament, very deep, but when finally you see a report that comes out toothless, what does that mean? We have seen with the Bank of Uganda inquiry. Very deep. The citizens were amazed how a parliamentary committee could be that rigorous. And in the end, toothless.
China International Water and Electric Corporation was expected to construct a bridge across River Nile that would link Kayunga district to Kamuli district. But Energy Ministry officials denied the graft allegations, claiming the construction was halted after the design by the contractor was found unsuitable for public use because it only had one lane instead of two lanes as specified in the contract. The Energy Ministry is also a common place for graft allegations. During the procurement process for Karuma and Isimba Dam in 2012, several government officials, procurement officers and cabinet ministers were accused of receiving bribes to influence the award of the tenders. This bidding row took the same pattern in 2012 over the award of a lucrative tender for the standard gauge railway under the supervision of the Roads Ministry. It was between two Chinese firms, China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation and China Harbour Engineering Company, as senior government officials were implicated in bribery. Barely any action was taken against those accused. In November, President Museveni directed the Inspector General of Government, Irene Mulyagonja, to investigate allegations that interested parties paid as much as $10 million in bribes to improve their chances of winning the tender for the Ginger Express Highway worth 4 trillion shillings. So could there be a nexus between specific ministries and the level of graft? In his book, The Bell is Ringing, Martin Alike, a former Foreign Affairs Minister of State, provides a candid account about the allocation of ministries that are deemed juicy in government. Alike writes, "We classified government ministries according to their potential to make money. A. Wet, education, health, agriculture, energy. B. Semi-arid, local government, public service. C. Desert, foreign affairs." This seems to suggest that perhaps the allocation of ministries is based on a flawed reward system and it's not on the ability and competence of an individual. The appointments to coveted cabinet positions, according to critics, is based on patronage politics to reward loyal cadres at the expense of service delivery.
It's very true that Ugandans are aware about the issues about corruption in this country and where the jokes are and the lack of action is. When you actually do see the cabinet reshuffle that has just been done by the president, as citizens, we don't see a reorganization in such a way that it would bring results in the fight against corruption. No, far from it. Because we only see a re-strengthening of the patronage politics.
With the 2021 elections fast approaching, analysts say the appointments largely reflect the positioning of the president's allies who will be entrusted to deliver his victory.
The president has to win by 50% and more of the vote. Makes the other two emerging political forces very strong, because if FDC got something like 30%, now assuming people power can get, let us say 19%, that can force a rerun, thereby embarrassing the NRM. So the NRM has to make sure that they do what it takes of them to remain in power and to remain as the government.
So I mean, the faces that you're seeing are those who really contributed to the amendment. So there's that part, but there's also the other part is getting rid of those that have become liabilities. I did not have a very long time, she's been attracting so much negative press, so she had to be kicked out. Rukutana, the scandals, they're not as much as they've been under Otafide's Justice Ministry, so he had to be moved to where I think scandals may not be much. So I mean, this confrontation, so two things have been happening. Rewarding those who participate in the Jukwatiko campaign, but also to make a statement of approval and an invitation to those who may want to do things for the president. If you want to do things for me, I'm willing to reward you. All right, so that's what happens.
33 years after the NRM shot to power and it promised to stamp out corruption, the jury is still out whether the regime can combat this scourge.